Hello guys and welcome to today's video. Today guys, well, I actually found this really cool app. Well, thanks for like Discord that basically allows me to make teams for Pokemon trainers and like. So yeah, I finally found this app that is making like the what if a lot easier. But in today's video, because I want to show off this app, I actually want to build a worst team and a best team for Ash. And the things we are considering in this video are the amount of battles they've had, the personality, how strong were the opponents that they fought, and overall how many battles have that Pokemon had overall. So we first going to go over the worst team, which luckily I've already listed everything, which is about 50% and lower. So let's go over this, and we're gonna go through each one, and we're gonna decide if that Pokemon is worthy. Because what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go through all the Pokemon that we have, and then after that, and then basically after that, whichever ones are left, we will go through, and we'll look into more detail about that Pokemon, and then from there, we will decide what should be on this worst team. So let's get straight into this. Okay, so guys, this is all the Pokemon we have. You have Lapras, Gliscor, Noivern, Butterfree, Pidgeot, Torkoal, Torterra, Boldore, Tauros, Breezel, Oshawott, Donphan, Heracross, Turtle, Naganadel, Muk, Gible, Unpheasant, Snivy, Talonflame, Gengar, and Sirfetch'd. First of all, I'm going to take Sirfetch'd and Gengar off because those ones still have time to get real good feats and also get out of that low 50% and lower. But also the journey is still ongoing, so it wouldn't be fair to put these on the team. But plus, I do want to say, both of them have had some really big feats compared to a lot of the other Pokemon on this team. For example, Sirfetch'd defeated a Mega Voltaria, which is pretty freaking big, and Gengar defeated Marnie's Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. Plus, don't forget, Gengar can Gigantamax, so I kind of don't want any gimmicks on this team. So, that's Gengar and Sirfetch'd eliminated. Now, let's get through the rest of these. I think everything on here, I think Naganadel should be eliminated because even though they only have one battle, it's kind of the strongest Pokemon in its homeland. So far, that's it. And it has massive coverage in the moveset, which is also something that Gengar has. So that's what Gengar, Sirfetch'd, and Naganadel are eliminated. Now, Gliscor. I am tempted to not take Gliscor because Gliscor is at 28%, which is absolutely horrible. Gliscor does have a pretty like insane moveset with like amount of coverage it has, and also not forgetting that Gliscor did go out and train with someone to get stronger. So and that loss it did have, or not only had it had word for that training lot, so it'd probably be a lot stronger. So that's Gliscor out. Now, I think we have our first contender, guys. Noivern. Noivern only has one win. It has 3 losses, 1 tie, and lack of battles and lack of screen time. Those are 3 of the very biggest things. So far, I'm going to say Noivern is a contender. So what I'm going to do with the contenders, guys, is that I'm going to highlight them in a colour so I know which ones are contenders for this team. Alright, so now guys, we've got Butterfree, which it wouldn't be fair to put it on the team because it would only round for like 20 episodes, so I don't think that's fair. Pidgeot did only have one key battle, and that was against Vidon in the gym. So I think I'm gonna highlight Pidgeot as a candidate as well, guys. I think Pidgeot is a candidate. So yeah, I think Pidgeot is another candidate. Torkoal is definitely a candidate, no doubt. There's no doubts, guys, that this thing absolutely sucked. So yeah, that is our third candidate. Because obviously we know how bad it was. Oh, and speaking, then there's our candidate, and there's candidate number 4, Torterra. Like obviously it had those lack of battles. Well, it didn't lack of battles. It never won as a Torterra, which would mean as a Torterra on this team, it wouldn't win at all. So it's definitely a contender. Boulder is a contender simply because of the lack of battles it had. It only had like 2 to 3 battles in the Universe series. And obviously, like I said, lack of battles is something that's kind of key here. Tauros, I'm not going to include because Tauros, you know, that 41%, it did have some big moments, like defeating a tiny Metagross, defeating a champion's Pokemon being Drake's Venusaur, and it also beat a Tauros that won 10 straight times in a Tauros competition. So I'm not going to include Tauros. I'm not going to include Breezel either, because Breezel has all those combos it can do with like Ice Aqua Jet, Counter Shield. I don't want anything like that on this team, because I think it would make it too good. However, Oshawott, I would definitely say, is definitely a contender. But it did, because even though it had some battles, it did lose to like multiple times it shouldn't have. Lost to like fire types. Also, Oshawott did kind of suck because every single time it did come to battle, it just straight up came out and lost. Because even though it did have personality, it didn't really do much, and it did lose a lot of the time. Donphan, I think that has to be, it's probably a contender as well. It didn't really do much, like it didn't really battle, because that's got Fancy so late. It didn't really battle much in the Johto series, and it came back in helped out actually battle until once, and then just came back in Sinnoh League and didn't get a win and win its battle. So yeah, Heracross I'm not gonna put on, because Heracross we know how good it is, but it was just robbed of screen time because it was stuck with Oak pretty much all of Johto. So yeah, Heracross I'm not gonna include it, simply because its lack of screen time wasn't its fault. It was stuck at Oak's lab. Now, Totodile. Totodile was definitely in one here that I am definitely putting on. Definitely some type of candidate, because well, Totodile, you see, all it did was really dance. Like that's all it did, and all about it did have weren't like very impressive wins at all. Like I said, like I already ruled out Naganadel. However, I am not ruling out Muck, because Muck has one battle, has had 2 battles. Naganadel only had 1, but Muck has been around since Johto, hasn't battled since Johto, and has only been used for comic relief, and it only has 2 moves. So that's it. So I can't include that. Gible, he got late. And it does have a good move, and it does have a feat of landing a hit on a Darkrai, so I think I'm going to include Gible. Shit Pheasant is definitely getting a fucking thing on here, because I think because this thing was straight up Garbo, like it was really bad. Snivy, I don't know. Snivy I don't think is a candidate, because Snivy did have some decent wins. And it had a really good personality, and again, Talonflame has a lot of wins as well. So now everything's now narrowed down to these Pokemon: Noivern, Pidgeot, Torterra, Boulder, Oshawott, Donphan, Totodile, Muck, and Unfezant. So I do think the first one that has to go on this team is Noivern, guys. I just think it has to be. I think Noivern has to be on this team. I also do think, guys, that number 2 has to be Torkoal, because Torkoal we know how bad Torkoal was. We know how bad it was. Like, it couldn't defeat types that it had super effective moves for. So, yeah, Torkoal is number 2. And I think number 3 has to be Torterra, simply because as a Torterra, it never won. Because even at the front, it went against worse strong opponents a lot of the time. it just didn't get it didn't get any wins after it was at the Torterra, which means it probably would not win again. So today for the team is Noivern, Torkoal and Torterra. So the rest we have got are Totodile. We've got, I need a quick double check what we have. We have Boldor, Pidgeot, Oshawott, Donphan, Totodile, Muck, and Unpheasant. So I do think Totodile should be on this team. I'm going to put Totodile and Oshawott both down, guys, because obviously those two ones are pretty awful. And now, alright, so we've got one more member, and it's between Unpheasant, Pidgeot, Muck. It's between those three mainly. So, who do we put? Muck has only had 2 battles. Pidgeot has had a feat, whether that's defeat of Mon that's super effective against it. So, I'm going to take Pidgeot off. Now it's between Unpheasant and Pidgeot. And I think here, I'm going to move on. I think here I'm going to move on Unpheasant because it only won in the one gym battle and it had to have help to get that win, and it also lost to a pure fighting type which it was super effective against. So yeah, I think, guys, actually the worst team would be Noivern, Torkoal, Torterra, Totodile, Oshawott and Unpheasant. So now turn the best team. This is going to work a bit different because how many good ones Ash actually has. I'm going to be making 2 separate teams. 2 separate teams for these Pokemon. However, there are 2 Pokemon each that are both on the same team, which we'll go over those in a second. Alright, guys, it's time. It's time now we go over all the ones of Ash with a over 50% win rate. And there's so many that I can't even fit them all on the screen. And also, these will turn into 2 teams. Because of how many Pokemon there are, and so many options, I'm going to make 2 separate teams. So, everyone we've got is Pikachu, Pikachu's going to be on both teams no matter what. So you guys have got to remember that. Quilava, Hawlucha, Staraptor, Sceptile, Leavanny, Palpitoad, Squirtle, Pignite, Bayleaf, Dracovish, Lucario, Dragonite, Noctowl, Melmetal, Corphish, Scraggy, Gudra, Swallow, Lycanroc, Glalie, Incineroar, Rowlet, Greninja, Kingler, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Fernape, Snorlax and Crocodile. So the 2 ones on both teams are as follows. Alright, so guys, the first 2 are Pikachu and Greninja. These are both these are going to be on both teams. And this is because I truly believe Greninja is actually the best water type he has. And also, you've got to remember that Greninja has that entire special bond with Ash that makes him and Greninja so much stronger. And honestly, it took down so many Megas. It took down a Mega Bombsnow and a Mega Sceptile, which would both beat it in game, because they're both super effective against it. And it would also bring a Lance Charizard to its knees in their battle, which we know how beastly that Charizard is. And also, Greninja's going to be a massive part in Lucario's development in a few episodes. So, Greninja and Pikachu are going to be our first 2. Okay, so the reason the teams are different is because one team will have Charizard and the other team will have Infernape. But we're gonna do the Charizard team first, since this team is actually a lot easier to pick stuff for. So we go. Our next one, of course, is Charizard, because we know all of Charizard's massive feats. It has feats like say defeat another Kuno. And it defeated another Kuno. It very rarely lost when it did fight. It beat half of Gary's team. Almost beat a Blaziken, which Ash didn't know anything about it at the time. He was really good in a lot of the Kanto gyms, like such as Plain, of when he defeated his Magmar. He also defeated Drake's Electabuzz in the Orange Island, and also Drake's a champion, and he went toe to toe with Charizard. Like, and Drake's Dragonite went toe to toe with Charizard for a little bit, and they were actually just taking a few hits, so Charizard went down. But yeah, Charizard is one of those in the final record. On this version of the team, we are gonna have Lucario. This might seem like an actual shock to a lot of you right now, because Lucario, the journey isn't even done. But Lucario for me has already done enough. For a start, Lucario is very, very similar to Greninja, where instead of having a bond, instead of having like an actual form, Ash and Lucario have an insane aura together. So yeah, for a start, they've got that. Also, Lucario is getting mental by Greninja next episode, which we know how strong that Greninja is. And Greninja and Lucario has already done some insane feats, like defeating Beast, Gigantamax, Champion Op and Grappalot, drawing with Luxray, and also defeating Fan Rotom, which defeated Gengar earlier in that match. And you've got to think that it has Mega Evolution, and as the rest of the games goes on, Lucario is just going to get stronger and stronger as it goes along. So yeah, I do think that'll be our next. I think that will be our next. Now, number 5 and 6, it comes down to a few Pokemon here. For me, it comes down to Lycanroc, Sceptile, Snorlax, and Crocodile. I do believe those are some of Ash's best, and I do think on this team here, I think our next one, I don't think we're going to have Sceptile on this team, but he's more candy in the next team. On this team, I think our next slot, has to go to, the next slot has to go to Snorlax. I think the next slot has to go to Snorlax, because this thing only has 3 losses. 3 losses and a 79% win rate, which for me, which is absolutely crazy. It's definitely Ash's best tank one he has. I don't think it's best, but it has done some insane feats. It has defeated the 2 Battle Frontier fighting types. It defeated a third of Gary's team, a third of Harrison's team. Took down Claire's Kingdra. If he would have battled against Drake, I guarantee that it would have taken down at least one Pokemon. It never doesn't take down a Pokemon before feigning, so it would always take something down at least. And yeah, so honestly, this thing is such a beast. And yeah, I think that'll be up. No, I think I remember number 5. Now, number 6 is actually a tough member to call here, as we have an electric type, we have water dark, fire flying, fighting steel, and normal type. I know a lot of you could say, can't you just add Sceptile in this last slot that you see? Sceptile only has a 55% win rate. I know Lucario only at 54, but journeys ain't finished, and we know how powerful Lucario is. So that's the reason why Lucario is on the team. But Sceptile, all its debut is done. There's no way they ain't gonna bring it back. So I actually think on this team here, I think actually last should be Lycanroc. Because look, Lycanroc helped Ash win the Alola League. And one that helped Ash win the league should be Ash's main should be on Ash's ultimate team. And also, don't forget, Lycanroc has some amazing feats. For a start, it has its own Z move. Also, with each of these teams, all members here have a mechanic. Pikachu can Gigantamax and use Z moves. Greninja has Battle Bond. Charizard can Mega Evolve and Gigantamax if it wanted to. Lucario can Mega Evolve. Snorlax can Gigantamax, and Lycanroc can utilize Z moves. So, but this entire team has a mechanic that they can use. And also, Lycanroc did defeat 3 Pokemon in a row on Nanu's team. So yeah, So honestly, so yeah, I think with team number 1, I'm going with Pikachu, Greninja, Charizard, Lucario, Lycanroc, and Snorlax. Now, team number 2, like I did say with team number 2, it would have Infernape on it. I did promise, and I'm gonna keep that promise. So yeah, so number 3 on this team would be on this next team will be Infernape, since, well, we know about what it is. It has that Blaze ability. So you know, probably what is these last 3 gonna be? Well, number 4 is actually gonna be the other Journeys one that I do consider very worthy to be on Ash's Ultimate Team, and that Pokemon is, of course, that Dragonite. So yeah, like we've all been saying, this Dragonite in Journeys, even though we only had 2 battles, it's 100% win rate. It's extremely tanky. It hits like a truck. And not to mention that it has defeated a gym leader's strongest Pokemon, that is a Mega Evolution, and a Champion's Ace. We're taking a lot of damage. So yeah, I think Dragonite is worthy for the second team. Now, for the 5th slot, like I was saying, I think slot number 5 on this team should be Sceptile, because Sceptile is actually strongest grass type Pokemon, and well, it does have that feat of defeating Tobias's Darkrai, so I think that's worthy to get it here. Also, it did have a lot in Battlefront here. Like, it helped Ash win one of the symbols of defeating a Shiftry and a Claydol in the same match. And obviously, it has a lot of really good feats. The only thing that does suck is its win rate at 55%, but it's still I still personally think it's strong enough to land a spot. Now, slot number 6 is the slot that I'm very conflicted on, but I think slot number 6, guys, I personally think slot number 6 should go to Crocodile, because that thing in Unova is an absolute beast. Because honestly, even though it didn't battle much, Crocodile only lost 1 time, and is currently at an 80% win rate, which is actually the highest of any Ashmon, excluding Dragonite and Primeape. And also, don't forget that this Crocodile has insane coverage. It's Dig, Aerial, Stone Edge, and Dragon Claw. It has a lot of coverage that could really help out this team. And yeah, so team number 1, I'd say it's Pikachu, Greninja, Charizard, Lycanroc, Lucario, and Snorlax. And team number 2 is Pikachu, Greninja, Infernape, Dragonite, Sceptile, and Crocodile. But anyway, yeah, guys, until the next video, I'll see you all again very soon.